Guys, welcome to the podcast. Today we have Steve-O. Steve-O is a lifelong... I've been watching Steve-O since I've been 10 years old. So I was so stoked to have him on the pod. And make sure you check out his special, The Bucket List, on Steve-O's website. And dudes, we're going to be in Denver. We got a hot squad. We got Strider coming.
Strider's coming.
Dude, to Denver. We love Denver.
It was... for my money, they're all great, but it might be the best comedy town in America.
Yeah, just fantastic. Colorado, we're coming to you in December 6th through the 8th. So make sure you get your tickets. We're going to be at the Comedy Works downtown, chadgoesdeeppodcast.com. What's up?
The 6th, too?
Thursday.
Oh, whoa. I wrote down... Oh.
Let me see. No, the 7th. 7th is Thursday. 7th to the 9th. My bad.
No, nice. I just got nervous.
But Thursday to Saturday, we will be in Denver. We're going to have new merch coming out soon, which is, just some dank tees that I'm really excited about. I think you guys are going to be stoked on. But the merch now is still available. chadgoesdeeppodcast.com. Shop.chadgoesdeeppodcast.com. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they do a great job.
All right, guys. Enjoy Steve-O.
Low and slow.
What's with deep? Going deep. Chad and JT.
All right. Well, let's throw the gravy on my ass and call me Fred. What's going on, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is Chad Kroger coming in with the Going Deep Chad JT podcast. Got my compadre, Jean Thomas. What up?
Boom clap, Stokers.
And we're here joined by Steve-O.
Yeah,
welcome.
Dude.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. What are we doing? We're pounding this magic mind.
Yeah, which you were super chill about, because
yeah,
I asked you, I was like, is it cool if we rep our sponsors? And you were like, dude, let's go.
I tried this the other day, and I liked it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's got matcha, adaptogens, nootropics. I drink it every morning. I love it.
Cool.
Do you think in the future, like, all food will be like goo? As we run out of resources and we have to turn to some kind of like powdered mung to save us?
I think we're going to have bigger problems than that.
What could be bigger than that?
I mean, we live in an age of mega threats.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, climate change is legit mega threat. Nuclear war. I mean, isn't it crazy that like nuclear war is like some people describe it as an inevitability.
Really?
Yeah, like once it all goes like widening conflict.
Well, if they're there at some point, they're going to be used.
Yeah, it's nuts. And then what else? We've got debt is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, what's going on with all that debt? It's just piling up. We just owe people trillions.
Well, yeah, they say that the national debt's at like 31 trillion right now, but that's not counting what's called unfunded liabilities like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. When you count the unfunded liabilities, like it's over 100 trillion. It's never going to be paid, and there's either you default or you just print money to the point where it's absolutely worthless.
And who would have to call it in for us to default?
I mean, aren't we like teetering on the brink of it every time they have like the government's going to shut down? We got to, raise the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Like we heard that periodically before, but now it's
a yearly occurrence.
Not even yearly, more than yearly, I think.
Bi-yearly?
I don't know what intervals it happens at, but it's crazy, man. And then what else is there? Aside from debt, I think wealth disparity is,
Yeah, at some point people are going to rise. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, yeah, I especially in the past 3 years, it just feels like there's a weight that like a heavy weight on everyone's shoulders that, I guess during COVID, you're like, well, this will end soon. But now COVID's over and you're like, well, now it kind of feels heavier. And I don't know if it's
right.
Do you feel like that's going away?
I mean, I think I remember like talking to a buddy of mine, probably 20 12, like over 10 years ago. And I was saying to him, I was like, dude, for our parents, a university diploma meant placement in a career of your choosing. Mm-hmm. But for us, like, not so much. It was that people thought of it as helpful, but no guarantee. And then for our kids, it's like, forget about it. It's like completely useless and represents nothing but massive debt.
Yeah, and if people feel hopeless, if they don't feel like things can get better, then they tend to behave in unpredictable and chaotic and sometimes violent ways.
Sure. I mean, crime is crazy, man. Like, I think that especially in Los Angeles, certainly in San Francisco, like all kinds of places, it feels like what you call the frog in the boiling pot scenario, where like
turn it up slow, baby.
It slowly gets worse and worse to the point where you just don't. But I mean, look at the things that we're desensitized to now. Now it's like organized broad daylight smash and grabs. Like the carjacking is, like pretty crazy crime, man.
Do you think something's going to come along that, like, do you think things are going to get worse and worse, and then something comes along like AI that's like, here's the solution? Or do you think it's kind of
or
fucked?
Quantum computing?
Dude, quantum computing, yeah.
I wonder, man. I mean, like, if anything, I think that exacerbates the problem, because you've got these technologies that make even more jobs obsolete.
Yeah.
You're right. It will be exploited by people rather than used to create abundance for all people.
Right.
But we're silver bullet thinkers over here. We think there's an elixir that's coming down the pipe that the techno gods will bestow upon us.
Right.
That was nice.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, and I stomped on it too. I've been really for some time now working on my conversational etiquette and not interrupting so much. I blew it.
I'm terrible at that.
All good, man. All good. I have had a really kind of like a pessimistic doomsday, like we're all screwed, like mentality, and I think it's kind of starting to shift a little bit because, I've just been so like kind of gripped by anxiety, like super like high strung, like trying, like I feel like I'm so ambitious, like I want to like accomplish, I want to succeed, and it's like a lot of the time I feel like I'm just trying to force things to happen that just aren't supposed to happen, and like if things aren't going the way that I feel that they need to be going, then I'm snapping, like freaking out, like I've been on this this promotional run I've been on to promote this new special I have. I've there have been snafus, hiccups, like just a lot of pressure, and I've not been handling it well. And I kind of came to a point where I'm like, dude, I just gotta let go and chill out. And somehow, what that's looked like for me is a shift in what I'm consuming on YouTube, going from like all murder, interrogation room, true crime, like to like near-death experiences, people recounting what it was like,
I listen to those when I go to sleep. They're the best.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then and another thing that I just got turned on to, which I think is really helping to like shift my mentality, is videos about synchronicity. And how, like, if you just, like, let go, you don't try to force everything and will everything to happen, just, like, what's going to happen is going to happen, And I feel like it's helping me relax a little bit. And in this more, like, positive, optimistic content consumption, I've been getting the message that the future's actually really going to be awesome.
Well, do you feel like when you first gained success, though, that it was through that energy of like kicking down the door and of like going for it? And so not only is that what you're used to, but that's what's worked for you.
Yes, I absolutely And I also too, you know, like I think that my default setting is just one of like super anxiety and like everything's not going to be okay. Like I'm going to be absolutely screwed if I don't frantically hurry up and try to make something happen because everything's not going to be okay. Like,
And that was even your persona on camera too.
yeah. And were it not for that kind of being in my DNA, then I don't know that things would have worked out for me. You know, like it presents as hustle is how I like to call it. You know, like I could be a super content, happy, well-adjusted person, but I think that would probably equate to laziness. And by being a wildly uncomfortable, high-strung, anxious person, that equates to productivity.
I think there's because I'm into the near-death experiences, synchronicity, all that kind of stuff as well. I consume a lot of that content because I'm the same way where it's like, if I don't feel like I'm doing something, if I'm like not feeling ambitious, then, you know, a catastrophe is going to happen. Like I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And so, but then I've been like, do you know Michael Singer? Have you heard of him?
Ooh. I can't say that
I check him out. He's like a guy. He talks about he has this book called The Surrender Experiment, which is kind of like what you're talking about.
Oh wow! Okay, now and then they just came out with the Surrender Experiment Part 2.
I think so. Yeah, he's written like his.
Somebody gave me this book, and they gave me the Part 2 book, and I just haven't read it.
He's great for stuff like this because he talks about his whole life journey where he just surrendered to whatever life threw at him, where he just basically just said yes to everything, and then he basically became like a billionaire.
Wow!
By just he's like with this idea that there's some like intelligent force that he's surrendering to. That's guiding him along the way. It's really good.
Right. There's also, I saw on a thing last night that there's some take on like karmic energy, which it was suggesting that in like past lives, like all kinds of stuff has happened, which led up to the experience we're having now, and that all of that built up karma literally dictates how this life is going to go. And no matter how much you try to deviate from what's supposed to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether you bang your head against the wall and try your ass, you know. But then I'm also reminded of somebody saying, yeah, you can pray to have like good breath, like pray to not have bad breath, but you also got to like floss your teeth and brush,
right?
You know, like so how much you can really let go without like doing your own work. I mean, that boils down to like intuition, and I think that the answer is going to be in following passion, not following stress.
Yeah, it's like listening to because you know, like with that spiritual stuff is sort of like, you know, just be relaxed and be content basically. But you're like, well, what do I do every day? And I think it is that kind of guided action where you're like, you listen to what feels good. Sometimes it does feel good, but what feels right. I think like for you, not for like what you like hedonistic kind of stuff, but like what feels right for your soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a too like.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And I think that there's another dynamic too, that where when people become successful, their biggest mistake is then they start trying to do too many things. And I think, not to say that I'm like super successful, but I think that I've gotten to a point of trying to do too many things where like it's kind of wearing me down,
right?
You know.
And you say yes to it because you're worried if you don't, you'll miss out on more success.
Yeah. I mean, I look back on when I put together this bucket list show. It was 2018 when I really, started, and that for 8 months I didn't tour. I hadn't started doing a podcast yet at that point. I was uploading YouTube videos maybe like once every 3 months or something. I was just like, I was not doing anything except just focusing on building what would become the bucket list tour. And I'm looking back on it, I'm like, I couldn't have been like earning, but it had to have been a terrible year financially. But I was just, I made this great thing, you know? And then in the years since 2018, I did nothing but just like continue to work on it. I did a million things, but I continued to evolve that show and kick out bits and film better ones and just elevate it and tighten it up. And now that the bucket list special's out, now I'm like, I got to put together my next tour, and I got to keep doing the podcast, and I have to upload like epic YouTube videos every single week, and I got to do this, and I got to, you know, and I think that's why I'm like just.
Do you feel like you have to? Because is it more like the attention that stuff would get, or the money that stuff gets?
Probably both, but the other thing is that like I built this this big like merchandising business. Like during the pandemic, like I really like I couldn't tour. I shifted my attention to, you know, e-commerce, and I started selling like a ton of merch, and it got to a point where I got my own warehouse and staffed it and my own fulfillment company. And then that went well enough that I added a second warehouse. And then now, you know, a few years later, like it seems pretty evident that that to your point, the weight that people's expendable income is not what it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so like I've got all these like super fixed overhead costs, staff, warehouse, like, you know, payroll, like crazy. And it's turning into a situation where the infrastructure I built is just hemorrhaging money.
Whoa.
So part of me, it's like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that to like, you know.
You got to keep everything going and to take care of people.
Gotta keep everything going. And I have a ton, like, not a ton, but I've got like a good dozen people whose livelihood is on my shoulders.
Right, and then if the special pops and that channels more energy and purchases to that, and then everything kind of grows together.
Yeah, not as much with the special because it's like I spent so much damn money on the special. Did they send you guys a link to it?
Yeah.
The just the opening sequence with like 90 seconds of footage cost over 150 grand.
Wow.
Like that, and all in, I probably spent a full like $500,000 just producing the special. So I'm trying to get my money back for putting that much into it. And
but it's a real labor of love then.
oh my god, I love it so much, dude. It's genuinely the fucking greatest thing I've ever made.
Oh, it's amazing.
And so yeah, like I'm trying to get my money back, and then after a period, then I'll just try to get eyeballs on it. But to answer your question, like it's really the free content that you put on the internet that kind of generates all the activity with all of the.
When you were young, did you ever picture yourself being in this kind of CEO position, or is this kind of like novel to you?
Not even. I never pictured myself like turning 30.
Right.
You know, from just like an early age, I was just like, dude, I'm not gonna live very long. It was what I was convinced.
Interesting.
What prompted the sort of career switch to YouTube, podcasts, all that stuff?
That was like a necessity, kind of, man. I mean, we Jackass started in the year 2000. Yeah, I moved out to LA in 2001. You know, it all was like kind of like happening real fast. The TV show, and then the first Jackass movie. Then I went right into doing the Wild Boys show. Coming out of Wild Boys, we went right into Jackass #2, the second movie. So that was just like kind of nonstop activity. And then in between the second movie and the third movie, like the wheels fell off and I had to get clean and sober. And that was just all I focused on. Then the third movie, you know, was like, I was still like early sobriety and for the third movie. And after that third movie, I started doing stand-up, like touring. But everything else just kind of dried up, went away. And by 2013, the third movie came out 2010. By 2013, like there was no activity really to speak of in like the entertainment industry for me. And I was trying to pitch the show and nobody wanted it. And Knoxville was filming the Bad Grandpa movie, which was under the Jackass banner, but with none of the Jackass guys. So I was like, man, now I'm the Jackson 4. And like the entertainment world is just done with me. I just felt it was a pretty dark time. And I was encouraged to get on YouTube, which I felt was like pretty major demotion at the time. Like I was like, dude, I've been in big movies. Like I've had my own TV shows. Like I'm going to upload it. It felt like, and that's what saved my ass, dude. Yeah. You know, I didn't think there was any money in it. I just thought I was doing it just for my own sanity.
Just to make stuff.
Just to make stuff, man. Like, just for, you know, so I got on YouTube and that was 2013. So now it's been over 10 years. And, man, by learning, I never even learned how to edit footage until 2013. And then when I learned how to edit and started making my own content, like, it was like a rebirth for me.
Well, then, so going to earlier, when you joined Jackass, were you I can't remember, were you from the CKY group or were you from the Big Brother group?
Big Brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was like the magazine, and that was like Pontius and
Wee Man.
And Wee Man, and then
Knoxville.
And Knoxville did like the bulletproof vest. That was his big one, right? And what drew you to that world? Because you didn't skate, right?
I did. Skateboarding brought me to the video camera when I was 15 years old. I started making videos. I would have loved to have been a pro skateboarder, but I just wasn't that good.
Same.
So, like, I kind of made it my mission to be in skateboard videos, like, just doing crazy stuff. You know, like even skateboarders, like, would find watching an hour of nothing but skateboarding to be pretty tedious. And so skateboarding videos have always had like comic relief, like crazy stuff to break up the monotony of it. And I've just wanted to make it like my mission to be that comic relief. And so that's what like made me gravitate towards Big Brother. And you know, the Big Brother videos had their own cult following. They got really popular. And then Knoxville and Tremaine reached out to Spike Jonze, and they're like, hey, dude, if we subtract the skateboarding from Big Brother, we think we could have a TV show.
What was it like working with Spike Jonze?
It's always been rad. You know, people think it's so counterintuitive that Spike's this Academy Award-winning movie director, like super high art, and that it's a departure for him to be a part of Jackass. But I see it the other way around. You know, like Spike's first video project was a pretty filthy skateboarding video.
Yeah, there's two sides to him.
Yeah, I think that the departure was more into the high art stuff. And he does it all, and he's epic, man. I love Spike, and like so grateful for him too, because all the stuff that I do on my own, like I'll send it to him, and you know, and he supports, you know, he's just super supportive, and it's pretty rad.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
You said something amazing in that Big Brother doc on Hulu where they were talking about like what got them into it. You're like one of the only people I've ever heard say this. And you just like point blank were like, I wanted to be famous.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that was the whole deal. I wanted I mean, like I said, I never thought I was gonna live to be 30. Yeah, I figured that I was gonna fail at life and die super young having failed. And you know, that was sad and upsetting to me, and my videotaping stunts. I said I was gonna become a crazy famous stuntman, but I think I probably thought it would be more likely that I died, and my hope was to be discovered.
Be infamous.
Well, like I thought, sure I'll be dead, but if I can just film enough crazy stuff that's crazy enough, then like the videos will live.
You'd be like the stuntman Van Gogh or something.
Yeah, big time. The Van Gogh of the home video camera. And, so it was just, that was it. And
I found it amazingly endearing, actually, that you said that, though, because I think, and I was, open mics at the time, and I was like, I would be like, no, I want to be an artist. But there was that real part of me that just wanted people to
Sure.
recognize me. And then so to hear someone say it, I was like, well, it seemed like a lot of maturity to get to that point where you could look back and just be like, no, I wanted to be special.
yeah, I mean, I describe myself as an attention whore. It's plain and simple, through and through. People always ask, do I have a special threshold for pain? And the answer is no. I just have a desire for attention that outweighs my desire for comfort.
What is your relationship to pain? Did you always have a greater threshold for it than other people?
No, not even.
So it hurts you as much as the rest of us, as far as you can tell.
If I had some special threshold for pain, then there wouldn't be like a reaction to it, yeah, I'm not special. I'm just that much of an attention whore.
I feel like you are tougher than most, though.
Maybe in some cases, there are certainly some situations that that I guess I can weather, but I don't think I'm that special.
Jackass 2 is actually like that. I watched that movie on repeat. Man, well, you know what? One thing that was so great about the Jackass movies is like the stunts were amazing and stuff, but the camaraderie is like that was like watching you guys hang out was to me in like high school. I was like, that's what I want my friends and I to be like. Like that was yeah. There's not really a question there, but it's just like something of note where I was like, I would always watch that. I'm like, I want to laugh that hard with my friends.
Yeah, I don't know that there's another kind of a franchise in entertainment where like the cast, we call it the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Like one or two guys is doing a stunt, and then the other guys are just on camera as spectators.
Yeah.
And this peanut gallery of spectators, like if they're laughing, then we know it worked.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know that I can't think of other like shows or movies that do it that way. I mean, I suppose there probably is, but
I mean the scene with Wee Man where he's getting his ass shocked.
The card throwing machine.
Yeah.
It's the funniest
One of the greatest
thing in
lines in
entire
movie history. Yeah.
But going back to your sort of transition, do you feel like sort of having built your own kind of pirate ship? Does it feel more fulfilling in that way, or
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Like between the third Jackass movie and the fourth Jackass movie, there was 10 years of nothing. And over the course of those 10 years, there would be, periodically, generally like from one guy, like a mass email to everybody, like, come on, let's make another movie, let's get the, and it just wasn't happening. And I remember thinking like, ooh, God, like, I'd even respond. I'd say like, hey guys, like, I'm doing like really gnarly stuff on YouTube, like I'd way rather do it for a movie, but if there's no movie, I'll just keep doing it on YouTube. And that is I think sums up how rad it is that with YouTube, with all the various platforms, that you don't need permission. Like there's no barrier for entry. Anybody can start building an audience and make a career out of that. It's killer.
Yeah, and it just is like the creativity and the I feel like too, because we'll pitch shows and it's sort of in and out of that world, and there's something about that constant kind of where you just want the approval. of like Hollywood, right? And
for sure.
And then transitioning to the kind of just building your own audience, it's just so much more. I think they're equally tough, but if you can get there, it's just. I think the security too, in that just feels so much more stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's epic, man. And then with podcasting, like, I think podcasting is just this weird phenomena where people, they want to feel like they're just in the room with you, like when you're having, like that's the appeal of podcasting. It's unedited. It's just like a normal conversation. It's got this intimacy where people they feel like they're participating in a personal conversation, and as such, they really get to know us through podcasting. They get to really become so familiar with like actually who you are, because you can't pretend to be something different than what you are. Like for hours and hours every week for like years in a row. Yeah. Like they're gonna get to know the real you. And as such, they really are gonna like develop this real relationship, man. This like this real bond, and they become like these super supporters. Yeah. That's a phenomena that is totally unique to podcasting and is something that's really, really special.
Yeah, and it creates this investment in your own personal development where, like, if we meet people who love the podcast, they're like, hey, when are you going to get married? Or like, hey, congratulations on kicking the vape. And there's these, like, components in my real life that they're rooting for. Yeah. But it's my real life. And then I'm like...
Do you guys promote Fume?
No, but hit it, baby.
I've heard about it.
Dude, I love it, man. I promote it on my podcast, and I'm not even trying to quit anything.
Yeah.
What is it?
But it's called a diffusive device. It's got this little core, and you just literally breathe air through it. It flavors air. So you like quit.
So there's no addictive component to it other
Nothing
than
whatsoever.
the oral fixation. Can I try yours?
Sure, man. I'm not tripping.
Does it satisfy that craving?
I mean, I don't even have a craving.
Oh, you don't?
That's fun.
Yeah, I quit. I quit everything I was trying to quit a long time ago. Like it's been 15 years.
So you haven't smoked nicotine or anything?
Yeah.
Wow.
So did like that thing that people have, that desire for negative excitement?
Negative excitement. Help me understand what you mean.
I heard Alec Baldwin say that to Jerry Seinfeld one time. I think that's a way to describe like an addict's need for kind of like turmoil, or like, I don't know if it's necessarily true across the board, but it feels like sometimes addicts, we want to just like violate social norms a little bit. That gives us like a spike. Or do something that's bad for us. That gives us a spike.
Negative excitement. All right.
But if you've like booted everything, where did that energy go?
I mean, it's one thing after another, man. Like now I'm just in trouble with food. Like I'm in and out of trouble with food. I get to a point where I'm like, and I reach out to people who are in like 12-step food programs, and I get on this regimen of photographing and texting photos of every single thing I'm gonna eat. Wow. And then I'll get like kind of good, and I'll be on a good track for a while, and then I won't. Like, it's gnarly, man.
What's your vice when it comes to food?
Generally just like any kind of dessert.
I'm a big ice cream guy.
I don't know if I care about ice creams, but pecan pie, I will destroy an entire pecan pie.
We're coming into a period where it's going to be everywhere.
I know. I'm stoked and I'm bummed. Yeah.
You got every Dukes up for Thanksgiving.
It's insane, man.
So did you always have when you were like a teenager, what was your like a friendship group like?
When I first, when I was 13, it was all about skateboarding. 13, 14, 15, all about skateboarding. And then, right as I turned 16 years old, then it became all about smoking weed and drinking beer. and maybe like LSD.
Is that how you measured like each other's kind of coolness? Was like that guy can house the most beers?
There's a little bit of that. You know, you didn't want to be a lightweight. That's for sure. You didn't want to be a lightweight. But yeah, I just it's crazy too because I was like a reasonably good kid. I had reasonably good grades, and I really cared about skateboarding. And then once I decided to put the skateboard down and pick up the bong, like it was immediate. My grades just torpedoed, nosedive, dude. And and then that became my thing, dude.
How did you get into clowning?
Well, I went to the University of Miami out of high school.
So you got D grades to get into college and stuff.
Yeah. It's a good thing that I applied to the University of Miami for early acceptance because it was
They didn't look at your senior year or anything?
it was not in the cards for me to, my shit really, really went out the window. University of Miami, I just catastrophically failed. And, my story was, I'm going to become a crazy famous stuntman. And that didn't go particularly well. I was like legitimately homeless for 3 years. And then I found out about clown college. And I was like, man, if I could graduate from clown college, then I'll be a trained circus professional. And that will help me become a crazy famous stuntman. So it was just a means to an end.
Is it crazy? Is it crazy to you that clowning's so big now in Los Angeles?
Is it?
Like Dr. Brown and Natalie Palamides. Yeah, I think it's kind of supplanted improv as like the
Really?
alternative comedic form.
Wow. As I understood it, this last reboot of the It movie, plus like a wave of like genuine crime committed by people just dressed up as clowns, like all of that, the cumulative effect of all of that has been,
Clowns are at a low point.
it's been very, very tough. And I still know a bunch of clowns. Like there's people that I graduated from clown college with who are mortally bummed at what happened to I don't even know if you call it a clown industry, but it's a profession that has taken a real hit lately. So it seems weird to hear that it's thriving.
Well, is the circus still a thing? There's Ringling Brothers. Is that still around?
Ringling Brothers actually folded. I think that it was just that the elephants, the animals in general, like finally became too much. They folded, but I believe that it's coming back.
Really?
Now, can you check that on the internet? Is Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey coming back?
Did you ever go through those like circuits?
I mean, it was Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College that I went to, but I didn't work on the Ringling Circus. I ended up working on a circus called the Hannaford Family Circus, which also folded as a result of having elephants and stuff and people giving that a hard time.
People just don't like to see the animals kind of do tricks anymore.
I think
It
that
feels like that's where...
I think that there has been an increased sensitivity to animals in the circus, and I think that's great. Like I really, really support that. Cirque du Soleil is so epic, and it has no animals in it.
Right. I've never seen. I want to see Cirque du Soleil.
It allegedly came back this fall without animals.
Yep,
Oh.
it came back this fall without animals. Now you can go see the Ringling show, and that's great. I love it.
Did you incorporate any clowning techniques into Jackass?
I learned stilt walking in clown college. I definitely did some stilt walking for Jackass. There'd like a couple random different like tricks I learned that got factored in. I think there were even a couple times I got into clown makeup. but not too much. I mean, maybe some, like, I was always looking for opportunities to do acrobatics and stuff, and so
Right.
that I kind of fit that under clowning, but not too much.
So can you juggle?
I can juggle, not very well, but
And can you do? So when you say acrobatics, is that like a back handspring kind of thing?
before I ever went to clown college, I pioneered the art of simultaneous fire breathing acrobatics. So I would do like simultaneous fire breathing back flips and front flips, and
That's pretty wild.
yeah, it was definitely pretty wild.
And with the fire breathing, you're spitting like a kerosene out of your mouth with like a lighter.
At the time, I was using rubbing alcohol, which is the worst thing to use for fire breathing. And I would douse my hand with rubbing alcohol and fill my mouth and light my hand and then blow it off my hand while I tucked on the backflip.
Why is it the worst thing?
It really erodes the inside of your mouth. I think it's bad for like gum recession, I feel like.
Right.
And, it also like stays on fire like to anything that it's on.
Yeah.
So I had some pretty heavy burns.
Did women like it?
Fire breathing in general, sure, man. I mean, I would certainly try to impress chicks with all of my tricks from the very beginning. Yeah, that was a big part of me trying to put together a skill set, was the quest for beef.
Did you ever have clowns that were like, "Hey, you're doing it for the chicks. You're not doing it for the clowns"?
No, I don't think. I mean, it was always doing it for the footage, and then once I had the footage, then I would show the footage to the chicks. You know, and if not, like, say if it was on the fly, then you know.
There was that one stunt that you didn't want to do, and I think it was Jackass 2, where you had to shove the Tyco car up your butt.
That was the first one. That was the first
Oh,
Jackass
right.
movie.
And that was, I think, the only time on record that we have you saying no to a stunt.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I went on to, like, I made a video for my YouTube channel called 10 Stunts I Backed Out Of, and that's featured on there. But yeah, that was the first time that it was acknowledged that I'd backed out of something.
And what? So why that stunt? It was just like,
I just remember my dad being particularly disappointed that was on the table. And I attribute that to my dad being like old school homophobe.
he was like, dudes don't mess with buttholes.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he was not worried about my safety.
When they did it, were you jealous? That you
No. I recognized right away that that was my contribution to the bit. You know, I felt pretty strongly that my not doing, you know, like, I was just as much of a part of the bit for not doing it as I
Right.
would have been if I did do it. I feel like.
It made it more memorable. It added
yeah.
more weight to the stunt because I was like, oh man, Steve-O couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have, but yeah, I backed out of it. So I just thought that it worked out very well for, you know, for the movie, for me, for everybody. I thought it made it a better bit.
Would you guys battle over who would get to do each stunt?
Rather little of that, and more of people trying to get out of doing stunts.
Right.
And would you guys peer pressure each other? Be like, come on, you got to pull
Yeah.
your weight on this shit?
Yeah, I mean, typically, like, the director, Jeff Tremaine, would have something that he would want to have happen, and he would, like, bring it to you know, the guys, and then, you know, the guys, as they refused to do it, the idea would kind of trickle down and end up with Danger Aaron.
It does seem like too, like, certain stunts are tailor made for, like, this is
sure.
a Steve-O stunt, this is a Knoxville
For
stunt.
sure. There's
Yeah.
absolutely that. And there's always been a profound respect for creative, like, intellectual property.
Yeah.
Like, what you can be sure of is that if you see somebody do a stunt or a bit, that either the person doing it came up with the idea or was given permission to carry it out by the person who did come up with it.
Right.
It's like by the virtue of the fact that you came up with the idea, like you own that idea, and nobody can do it unless you give them your blessing.
Yeah.
And that's like a level of respect and a code of honor that was absolutely adhered to until the 4th Jackass movie. And I was trying to hold out for a better contract. And I had my own hot sauce. I was like, I'm sure we're going to get this deal done. And when we do, like, I really want to feature my hot sauce, Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole in the movie, you know? And while I was holding out, they did this like test shoot to try it. And they got, they're shooting with hot sauce and they're putting it in people's buttholes. Which is precisely what I had done. Like, I'd already shot that bit.
Right.
And now they're like doing my bit. And I'm sure it was because they were pissed at me.
Right.
Because I was holding out. But when I found out that they had that in the 4.5 movie, I snapped. I snapped so bad. I was like, dude, you know, like, from day one, man, it's been, if you come up with an idea, it's yours. You know, and there's always been respect for that. And now, like, so the Jackass 4.5 movie was picture locked, you know, meaning like in for color correction and sound mix.
Yeah.
And they unlocked it because I was so pissed.
Wow.
And they were like, dude, you're right. They're like, you're right. So they unlocked it and added in a thing. Oh, then we did this thing that Steve-O came up with.
Really?
Put that in there, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they I mean, it was definitely a big deal and super rad that they did that.
Yeah.
And it's honestly the only example I can even think of where intellectual property wasn't respected, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you see somebody doing something, they came up with the idea or gave the person permission to do it. And there's a lot of that. You know, there's a lot of hey man, I'm like I got an idea for Steve-O, or I got an idea for Wee Man. Like, it's not, nobody's particularly stingy with creative, you know?
Right.
You know, ideas get written for people for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of preemptive, like, safety protocols did you guys have for, like, the stunts that involve, like, engineering or explosives?
I mean, as in the beginning, I would say, like, there was basically none. You know, like, in the beginning, I don't even think anybody really knew what a release form was, you know? As you know, the first movie, like the second movie, gradually the productions got bigger and more elaborate, more expensive, and then like you got stunt coordinators and this and that. The stunt coordinators have really there's only one stunt coordinator, and then there's one like special effects and pyro guy. Unless you count the prosthetics guy, but typically for the stunt coordinator, it's like, okay, you're here to do a job, but you have to do it wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was over talking to the stunt coordinator, and he had a buddy, and his buddy was like just it worked in like water. Like a water plant or something for you know, and he was like, imagine like your job, you know, it's like, hey, we want you to make sure the water's contaminated, but not enough to kill people. You know, it's pretty wild.
That is cool. And so you're a big UFC fan? I think I've seen you getting choked out by John Jones before.
Not choked out by John Jones. I got choked out by Chuck Liddell and Michael Bisping and Tim Kennedy.
Oh,
Tim Kennedy.
who did the most vicious choke?
Oh,
on
by
it?
far, Tim Kennedy.
Really?
I asked him to drop me.
Yeah.
Right.
He literally dropped me, and my head bounced off the stage. That's part of my very first comedy special.
What's that feeling like?
You wake up, you have no idea where you are, what's going on. You're completely confused, and then it all comes back to you.
Is it like the elevator door kind of shutting? Or is it kind of like he does it and it's just blank and then you wake up?
It like when you're getting choked, you're like, I can't breathe. It's so creepy. It's like everything that sucks about dying, and then you don't know what happened, and then all of a sudden like you come to and you don't know where you are. Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, I remember now. Like that was awesome.
Interesting.
Did you have to convince them, or were they all down to do it out the gate?
Everybody was down to do it.
Yeah, it must be fun to choke someone out.
I've never done it. I wouldn't want to choke anybody out.
Do you practice? Do you do jiu-jitsu?
No, not even. Yeah, not even. But yeah, I love the UFC, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Did you watch the fights last week?
I always watch the fights.
That was great. I talked about it on our last podcast, but Jerry Prochazka, after he lost, saying it wasn't the ref's fault and that he was unconscious. I've never seen a fighter do that.
Right. And you're talking about the week before last, because last week was Brandon
Allen versus Paul Craig or something.
Yeah, I think that the consensus on the Yuri Prochazka fight was that it was early stoppage.
That's what I thought watching it.
Like I was in the arena and I felt like the whole arena was booing the ref. And then in the post-fight interview, like it was one of these situations where Rogan thought, okay, I'll go and interview the guy who lost, and and Joe Rogan said to Yuri, like, we all in the commentator booth thought that was an early stoppage, and Yuri's like, no, at the end I was out. It was right. I was crazy.
Who do you think is going to win the Leon Colby fight?
What's the line on it? I feel like
Leon's probably favored by a little bit.
I'm not sure, man. But then again,
I can look it up.
I think that's probably pretty neck and neck, dude. And what a card, dude. Mm-hmm. When the first fight on the pay-per-view is Ian Gary against Vincent St. Luque.
Yeah, Leon's barely favored. It's close. It's almost
Super
even
close.
Money.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, that card, Ian Gary, Vincent St. Luque. And then the second fight, that's Paddy the Baddy and Tony Ferguson.
Right.
Then Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and that murderer Shavkat. And then you got the flyweights, which is just going to be insane. Pantoja and Royval. And then you've got Colby, Covington, Leon Edwards. Insane.
Do you feel like very...
invested in disliking Colby Covington for sure. I love disliking Colby Covington so much that
makes the fights better.
I always want him to win so that he'll continue to be around to dislike.
Right.
He's got to respect that because it's 100% what he's going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. They were going to cut him, and then he was like, if I create this persona that's like, a troll, I'll sell tickets, they'll keep me around.
You know what? I want to see if we get Colby Covington on my podcast to talk about it, because I've been so outspoken about how much I love to dislike him. And yeah, dude, it's great. It's great. I mean, that card is so unbelievable. And even the undercard is insane.
Do you feel connected to the fighters because you guys both use your bodies to like make a living?
I don't know that I feel connected to the fighters, but there's a little bit of
like an understanding.
I think that there's. I mean, certainly, like I'm in a position where turning 50 and my body's like pretty bummed on me. Yeah. I've always said that. Given what I've done for a living and what I've been through, that I'm in like shockingly good shape. Like my body's been holding up very well. Mm-hmm. But that is no longer my story. I'm very rickety at this point.
Do you remember when it turned, when like you started looking at stunts and being like, oh fuck, that's gonna like hurt my elbow, or my back might not be good with that?
I've been pretty selective about how I've thrown my body around. Like all my very worst injuries have it was only in like 2016 that I started like really like having to get surgeries. Yeah, like me and Tony Hawk, we got away with like not being like very, very badly beaten up until like our later years, and then we got hurt a lot and real bad.
Do you have like a? Are you big on health stuff? Do you have like a health regimen that you've been?
I got a major meditation regimen.
Yeah.
I
What's that like?
40 minutes a day, dude. Twice a day.
Twice a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did 20 minutes twice.
Oh, right. Is it TM?
Yeah. I mean, it's technically Vedic meditation, but it's exactly the same thing as TM.
Right.
Yeah, and then like I said, with my food, I'm, either really good or really bad.
Are you
right
vegan?
Nah, I'm back on seafood.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
If you're vegan, can you eat like dairy? Is that, or you can't eat dairy?
Nothing from an animal is vegan. Vegetarian, you can have anything as long as it's not meat.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't die.
Yeah.
And then do you like exercise and stuff?
Right now I got to go in for knee surgery, so I torn meniscus. There's not a lot of exercising I can do.
Right.
Which kind of sucks because I want to be exercising.
Do you do the cold plunge?
You know what,
I feel
dude?
like
I think I'm finally there.
Yeah. I feel like you would be one.
I think Dana White has finally convinced me.
Yeah.
With the cold plunge. I think he's convincing a lot of people with it.
I think you'd love it. Have you tried it before?
Yes, I did it with Steve Aoki. I hated it.
Oh, you did?
but that's also because he made me stay in for like 5 full minutes.
Right.
All the way in. And it was really, really cold.
Yeah.
I think if I could, not make myself do more than 60 seconds, I think that would go a long way.
Yeah.
And with the knee, like my executive assistant, Isaac, tore his ACL. And he's been doing physical therapy to get back. And they were like, it wasn't going great. He started doing the cold plunge, and then they're like, dude, you're way ahead of schedule now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that given that I'm going through similar stuff with my knee, and just the health benefits in general, I think it's time for me to bite the bullet and get in the cold plunge.
Mine's broken now, so I've been without one for like a year, but I had one for a good solid year and a half.
Wow.
And I loved it. Like you do it before a flight. You're on that flight and you're like, this is the best flight of my life.
Wow.
It does work wonders.
It does, yeah. Well, you just
skin's
taut. Yeah, for me it's like the antidepressant kind of qualities are what I like the most, where you just like it just shocks you into a good mood. But
I'm very open to that being I think I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna have to.
What about drinking your own pee?
That's not anything I've ever done for health reasons.
Oh yeah, you were kind of ahead of the curve on that.
I don't even know that I've drank much of my own pee. I certainly have, but it was always just for, for entertainment value.
Yeah, you had no idea you were being healthy.
I was aware that drinking urine is known to be a way to replace lost nutrients. Well, I was aware of that. I was also aware of the fact that urine has a large amount of ammonia in it, which means it's sterile. So, like, you can, like, drink another man's pee, and it's not, like, a health concern because the ammonia will prevent you from
getting sick.
I think that I understand that to be the case. I don't quote me on it.
And when you say man, it's just because it's easier for the dude to aim?
When I say manage?
Man.
Oh, another man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, unless you're going to drink a woman's pee. But I think that there's potential for other contaminants that don't come from dudes.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, more seems to happen there.
Yeah.
Our buddy Troy drinks his own pee, and he's like glowing. He has great
really?
skin.
Like on a regular basis?
Yeah, he drinks the middle stream every day. From what I hear.
He is a model, so it's hard to know sometimes if it's just genetically where he'd be at anyways, but it's hard to argue with, how he looks.
Results, yeah.
He's very hot. If he was like a ugly man, it might not be as compelling.
Right. But the way he looks now makes it enticing.
Wow. Oh, that's cool, man.
Do you wrestle with that at all? Just like general like appearance stuff?
I did for some time. I mean, I'm 49 years old now.
You look good.
Well, thanks, dude. When I was about 35, maybe 36, I remember going to a mentor and saying, man, like, I'm really bummed. Like, it's really bringing me down. Like, my appearance deteriorating. Like, I feel like, I'm getting old and I can see it. And this guy said, hey, man, I hate to break it to you, but you didn't get to where you're at because you were a sex symbol. Nobody cares what you look like, dude.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot, man. That helped a lot.
So, what do you see for yourself, career-wise? What's your dream vision for the next 10 years, or do you? Yeah.
I don't know about 10 years. I can't look that far, but I know that for certain, I'm putting together a new show to tour with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a terrifying proposition because like what I did with my bucket list tour, like very heavy, a lot of life threatening, like super like high level, high impact stuff. And then I make it into a multimedia show. Now I'm confronted with the task. I've taken on the task of raising the bar yet again. And I feel like I can do that one more time. So I'll spend the next 6 months or so putting together my Steve-O's Gone Too Far show. And then I'll begin to tour that show, probably tour that show for about 2 years. So then that's like 2.5 years, maybe 3 years from now, like the Gone Too Far special comes out. At that point, I'll be 52, and I don't think I can even seek to raise the bar again. I don't think that is going to make any sense. And at that point, maybe there's a project in, and like a big picture of what the whole career was. I don't know.
In the bucket list, you jack off while skydiving to completion.
Yeah.
What did you like? I haven't seen it all the way through. What did you think about while you were jacking it?
I brought a portable DVD player.
Oh. So
Yeah.
you had some good porn going?
Yeah.
And you were able to do it?
It wasn't easy, but I ate 4 dick pills for breakfast. I was backed up for 4 days.
Viagra or
Wow.
Cialis?
Cialis.
Oh, so the long-lasting one.
I guess. I mean, that's just what I had. So
Yeah.
I ate 4 of those.
Cialis, they call it the weekend drug because it can last for...
Oh, wow.
It's in your system for like 72 hours,
Okay.
depending on how you metabolize.
Yeah, I mean, I shot that before I began my relationship with Blue Chew.
Were you at all worried about where the cum would go?
No. No. But like the plane's going so fast, and the idea was to ejaculate as I was exiting the plane.
Oh, so you were...
It wasn't like while I'm falling.
Okay.
The idea was that, that when I pass the point of no return, I give the sign, and then I leave there, so I'm simultaneously exiting the plane while ejaculating.
How many people were up in the plane watching you crank?
At least 6 dudes. One of them was strapped to my back, and it was a small ass plane.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a major accomplishment, man. It was a heavy thing, and You know, it makes my special legitimately XXX rated.
How did you come up with that?
I came up with that like 20 years ago as a way to avoid ever having to go skydiving. Like, I just didn't want to do it. I'm scared of roller coasters. I'm scared of bungee jumping, and I don't want to do it.
And then you went biking after you got an epidural?
No, I had general anesthesia drugs administered into my arm in a vein while I was riding a bicycle. And I had an epidural, which is a 4-inch needle into your spine. They injected a drug into my spinal cavity to paralyze me while I was in a full sprint. So those were two separate bits.
Oh, okay.
The general anesthesia bike ride and the epidural foot race.
What did that fit? I've been put under before. So did the whole thing just start to go black as you were cranking?
Well, that one, like, the general anesthesia drugs make you stop breathing. That's why, like, they intubate you, which means they put a tube down your throat to breathe for you, like when you're in surgery. And, you know, I had, like, this medical professional who stole general anesthesia drugs from the hospital, was administering them to me. And, you know, we rented an ambulance. The ambulance, we hired a private ambulance. So they'd be ready to intubate me, but we didn't tell them what we were doing. We didn't even let them on the set. It was just like, be ready to run if we need you, you know? But the consensus on the set was that we really didn't want me to, like, stop breathing. So they gave me the drug incrementally to try to get me to knock out, but not to stop breathing. And what happened was, you know, we had like, Google said 8 milligrams of this drug is enough to knock a full-grown man out for surgery. We had 20 milligrams.
Wow.
They gave it to me incrementally, and they just kept giving it to me. And they gave me all 20 milligrams. And I was never knocked out because they spaced it out. You know, like, if they give you 8 all at once, like, you're out. If they give you 2 and then 2 and then 2 and then 2 until it's gone, like, so I was just wildly on drugs, like, and that's what that bit turned into. And it was, like, pretty intense and notable because I'm a sober guy.
That's what I was at, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm a sober guy here. I'm all wasted, like, acting a fool, like, riding a bicycle around, like, just screaming my head off, yelling at everybody.
I think the program gives a pass for art.
Yeah, I mean, I did it in consultation with people in recovery. Like, I didn't have any secrets. I was clear on why I was doing it. I'd had plenty of surgeries in recovery without relapsing. Like, I'm not tripping about that. But that's what that bit was. You know, that's what that bit was all about. And it's wild. You know, there's nothing that's not wild about that bit. But then the next bit is, like, you know, you go from the failure where they didn't knock me out and it was just this wild scene to, like, a resounding success with the epidural. And, like, through the show, like, the bucket list, of course, like, I filmed all of these, like, 10 different things on the list and put it all together into a live show. And after each bit, I pay off the bit with the forbidden footage of the forbidden stunt. And it's all presented in descending order of the approval and support of my fiance. So, like, in the beginning of the show, she's all about it. Gung ho, like, front and center, filming it, like, you know, participating. Then gradually, like, she's not that into it. Like, she's there for the bike ride, but she's not loving it. She's stressed. Then, like, the epidural, she's not, you know. She's like, yeah, she couldn't bring herself to be there for that. Then she's, like, not only is she not showing up, but she's having, like, a real problem with it. You know, like, and by the end of the hour, like, we're navigating some serious conflicts.
It's a good emotional arc for the special.
It's great, man. I mean, and the fact of it all being kind of in the context of my relationship enduring the bucket list stunts, it's in totality, it's this wonderful love story. You know, as much as it's like this XXX rated, like super reckless, life threatening stunt fest. You know, all in an hour of outrageous comedy. It's also like a genuine, legit love story.
That's great.
Do you want to do Beefs, Babes, and Legends?
Yeah.
Chat. So this part, you might not be prepped for it, but we'll go to you last so you can
All right, easy.
improvise something. We do a Beef of the Week, it's just something we're upset at, and then we do a Babe and a Legend of the Week, it's just something we're stoked on. It can be a person, place, or thing.
Okay, cool.
Chad, who's your Beef of the Week?
My beef of the week. I was having trouble thinking because I didn't have much to beef about. My beef of the week is, it's just time change. I've done this before, but daylight savings, I'm not on board with it. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I thought that they Senate approved like doing away with it.
Dude, yeah, what was that, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, they did that and then they didn't do away with it.
Yeah, and that's and they don't do it in Arizona for some reason. Is that right? Like,
There's no need to do it. Already, you're gonna have it gets darker earlier.
yeah.
And it doesn't need any help. It happens naturally.
Yeah, and now it's like when it gets dark that early, it's an inconvenience because there's things I have to do in the light that now I can't do because it's 5 o'clock and it's dark. And
Yep.
yeah, I thought it was over. Apparently not. I think it's a big conspiracy. About what? I don't know, but
All right.
I'm highlighting a beef. It's a podcast beef. It's I Am Athlete. It was Brandon Marshall, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor. They were all doing a podcast together. Dude, if you watch the clips, they're pretty amazing. They just like yell at each other. They're all these super strong dudes, but the arguments are pretty compelling, and it's normally Brandon Marshall who starts them. But they also eat full gourmet meals during the podcast. So like it'll just cut to whoever their guest is. It'll be like Andre Johnson will just be like eating salmon while these dudes yell at each other about like Kaepernick and contracts. And I was digging it, but it turns out they broke up because they had like money issues. But now I've been fascinated by that. So I'm just like watching all the podcasts about like the disillusionment of the whole thing. But it's very entertaining. I would check it out.
All right. My beef is with the do not disturb sign that you hang on the handle of your hotel room door. Like, I feel like the hotel room is my one like little like sanctuary, like my safe space, and I don't want people coming in and messing with it. So I hang the do not disturb sign on the door. But then invariably, when I open up the door, it falls off. They just can't design a do not disturb sign. I feel like they want it to fall off.
yeah.
And I'm like always running late, so I'm like open up the door and I come out, and then the sign falls off the handle. And I'm like, yeah, and I like put it back. It's just really annoying, man.
Yeah.
So I'm reminding myself to design a do not disturb sign for the hotel room, which just lives in my backpack and will literally stay on any door.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Chad, who's your favorite legend of the week?
So my legend is or should I go babe first?
I think we're just gonna comment.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's my dog Lola. She turns 1 today. Yeah.
Whoa.
She's a little golden retriever, mini golden retriever, perma puppy.
man.
I love that dog. So yeah, just happy birthday, Lola. Yeah, she's the best.
Dude, my legend of the week is the German people. We've been having some NFL games there this season, and I think I was watching Dolphins Chiefs early in the morning our time.
Okay. That's wild. The Dolphins just played
Who they play this past weekend? They won.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. Oh yeah,
I just started watching football this
good
year.
call.
Dude, is YouTube like the condensed videos of a football game where
Yeah.
it's like 12 minutes?
It's just
Yeah.
all the action.
The whole game, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
The best. Yeah, I'm watching NFL like crazy because it's so easy and fun.
Where do you watch that? It's on NFL.
YouTube.
NFL YouTube.
NFL YouTube channel.
Oh, I need to get on
They
that.
condense a 3-hour-long broadcast into 12 minutes of nothing but just awesome action.
Amazing.
And like, if you see in the video, if like a kickoff or a punt makes the cut,
Yeah.
then you know
Something's
it's gonna be
gonna
like an
happen.
epic run back, like whatever. You know, they just don't.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude. So
I
yeah,
gotta check that
I
out.
watched the Dolphins and the Raiders.
Dude, I was watching the Germany game, and the German crowd would sing John Denver, West Virginia during
yeah.
breaks. I have no idea why that song's a phenomenon over there, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I knew that they were playing games in London, England. I didn't know they were doing it in Germany.
I think they had a couple over there in Frankfurt, I'm going to guess. But yeah, the crowd was just going nuts on the John Denver.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they love American shit. And something specific like that,
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened. I got to find out, but it was really cool.
That is cool.
I'm going to make my babe legend of the week the YouTube condensed NFL games.
Yeah.
But I also want to give an honorable mention to my fiance Lux, because she went through hell for my bucket list special. And I want to tell everybody to go to stevo.com and support this filthy XXX rated, like loaded with illegal and life-threatening shit. It's a multimedia comedy special. I promise you it will not disappoint you.
It's available now on stevo.com.
Correct.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate
dude,
it.
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
in.
it's fun
Oh,
talking
yeah,
to you.
man.
If you need advice,